all the tools to distribute music freely, and the business model of music was already changing.
Right.
And the direct impact of this was that between the first album and the second album of Adagio, the sales was divided by 10 directly.
Well, very nice to meet you. This is a podcast about yourself and your journey in music, and we'll talk about the new Myrath album.
Okay.
Awesome. So first off, I just want to kind of talk about your backstory as far as you were born and raised in France. Is that what I saw?
Yeah, exactly. I was born a long time ago, so in south of France, and yeah, I quickly began a piano journey at the age of 4, which is quite
Wow,
young. I mean,
that's very young.
yeah, that's young, and I I didn't choose, to, of course, to do piano. When you start at the age of 4, of course, you have parents that are pushing you hard to stop playing with your friends and watching TV, and instead practice piano. So it has been a quite hard journey because yeah, I started very young, and I didn't have the opportunity to yeah to play with my friends. In fact, I was
Really?
focused. Yeah, I was focused maybe 4 5 hours a day at the beginning, playing piano, and it was way more uh, intense during the weekend and every Wednesday. So yeah, I had the chance to graduate quite quickly, and to finish my studying at the age of 14, which is quite young. Generally,
Yeah.
you have your gold medal at the age of 18, between 18 and 20. So
Yeah.
at 14, I was already finished with the school, and that at that time I realized that I didn't want it to be a classical player. I mean, I was learning Mozart, Bach, Rachmaninoff, Chopin, this kind of artist. But my will was to compose music. And at the age of 14, I discovered what was metal. I had no idea what was this kind of music, and
Mhm.
I discovered the band Angra from Brazil,
Okay.
and it has been a kind of revelation because for me it was the proof that it was possible to blend classical music influences with metal. And
Yeah.
André Matos is a huge fan of classical music, and he did a great arrangement on the songs. And yeah, for me, it was a kind of revelation. And I told to myself, okay, I want to be a professional musician. And everything began this way. I mean,
So at 14, that's when you, after discovering this band, that's when you realized, like,
yeah,
oh my gosh,
exactly.
this is really what I want to do.
Yeah, so I built my first band. So it was at the beginning a kind of cover band of bands like Symphony or Dream Theater, this kind of
Mhm.
stuff. And at the age of 18, I started to be a professional musician. So of course, to earn money with music is very difficult,
Sure.
and it's almost impossible when you try to compose something. So of course, I started playing cover bands, in France, like
Yeah.
big cover bands with dancers, trumpets, piano, guitar, bass, a lot of people on stage. Like it's specific to south of France. There are a lot of cover bands, but big cover bands.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, because you'd earn some cash, right?
yeah, of
Somebody
course.
would hire you guys to come
Yeah,
and play for a
yeah.
few hours, and that was a way to make money, I would imagine.
Exactly. So I started my career this way, and my first journey as a professional metal musician, let's say, it was with my first band named Adagio, which was at that time a kind of famous metal band in France.
Did
Unfortunately,
did
the
you
band.
join that band, or were you one of the people that kind of started it and
No,
then
I joined the band. I
okay.
remember I sent a demo to the guitar player,
Mhm.
and I was playing on the piano all the guitar solos of the album.
Wow.
And he told me, "Oh, that's nice. Let's work together." And at the same moment, the previous piano player was yeah left the band, so
Uh-huh.
I took his place and I started this way.
Wow. I just want to back up quite a bit here because I'm curious. How, I mean, to be that involved in piano, I mean, you said 4 or 5 hours a day, and then even more on the weekend at 4 years old. Do you cut like were your parents pianists or way into music? Like, how did you kind of get pushed into that intense of a start into piano?
To be honest, I think it's coming from frustration from my parents. Um, my mother maybe wanted to do something around music.
Uh-huh.
She's economic teacher, so
Oh,
nothing
okay. Totally different path.
nothing to do with music. Um, but I don't know. She has she had the intuition that I could do something,
Uh-huh.
and she pushed hard.
Yeah, she must have seen. I mean, you must. I don't know. Maybe you were like some sort of like child prodigy too. I mean, to be like, okay, I will focus on this. I will do this. If you weren't very good in the beginning, you might have been like, how am I supposed to sit here and play the piano for 4 or 5 hours a day? This is like a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't even know if now I know to play because I started young,
Uh-huh.
or if I had a kind of talent at the beginning because I started so many so young. So
Yeah.
as I even don't know
If it was
if
natural talent right
yeah,
away, or if it was
I,
like, oh, well, the fact that you were playing 20 hours a week.
I have no idea. I mean,
Oh my gosh. Okay. So when you were learning that up until 14, was it just you were just doing what? Classical piano, recitals? It was all just
yeah,
very standard. This is
yeah,
how,
one
like you were
one
saying,
hundred
Bach and a
percent.
bunch of artists like that you were playing.
Yeah, yeah, 100% classical music, 100%, and yeah, and I was quite happy to do this. But as I told you, I mean, at the age of 14, um, I of course discovered metal, but I also discovered that it was not sexy to be a classical
Oh
piano
yeah.
player.
Yeah. All the
When
chicks
all,
aren't just like, oh, look at this guy. He can play some sweet classical music.
yeah, but you know, at this time, everybody was fan of Nirvana, of Maiden,
Oh
and
yeah.
being a piano player was not that fun. I mean, and I had some. It was difficult for me to exchange with people, with the kids, and this is one of also the reason that I started guitar at the age of 14. Uh,
Oh, you transferred over to guitar. But
yeah,
you
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure obviously you're still playing keys and piano to this day,
Oh,
but yeah.
of course, I needed to learn another instrument at this time. Now I'm using my, let's say, my skills in guitar to compose music. So it's easier for me when I compose a song, for example, for Myrath. Um, I play the pianos, the drum, the guitar. I can give a song which is almost complete. I mean, and it's very cool to do this kind of stuff when you are able to do it.
Because you can do you play drums and everything, or is it you can just use the keyboards
I
to,
I, I
to
use I,
emulate the sounds?
it depends. I mean, I of course I don't play the drums on the albums because of course we have a awesome
Right,
drummer. But
right.
then when we do demo, it depends. If I have a drum, a MIDI drum with me, I will play the MIDI drum,
Mhm.
and if I don't, I will play on the keyboard. It depends.
Okay. So
Depends.
you had this band, you joined this band in France, correct? That's already kind of successful. What was that like? I mean, to be able to go from, I mean, you obviously had experience playing in live settings, you're in these cover bands and you're doing, paid gigs, and then you submit yourself playing piano to all the guitar solos, and they're like, "Oh, we want you in this band." Like at the time, were they like touring and like you just kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
jumped into this like
yeah. Yeah,
band that already had some success, it sounds like.
yeah. It was touring a lot at this time. And but unfortunately, it was between, if I'm not wrong, 2001 and 2003.
Okay.
And during this period, there was a lot of the rise of Emule, Casa. and all the tools to distribute music freely, and the
Hmm.
business model of music was already changing.
Right.
And the direct impact of this was that between the first album and the second album of Adagio, the sales was divided by 10 directly.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, nowadays we know as a musician that we have to invest a lot on the merchandising, on tours. But at this time, as a musician, you could live only selling CDs. And when,
Yeah.
yeah, and when it started it was kind of nightmare because we had no idea how to fix this solution, this issue. We don't had at the time a lot of money on the bank account,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, we were in the middle of the storm, in the middle of the music industry changing, you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
because it went from CD sales and album sales to now it was all digital, right? With like file sharing and everything around that
yep,
time.
yep, exactly. And it was free. I mean, paying at this time for music when you can have this for free on MP3.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, if you think about it, and if you think about the business around Spotify, for example, Spotify, it took years to business like Spotify to educate people that music is costing something,
Right.
and it didn't come naturally. So
Well, even that Spotify to this day, it's like, I mean, they don't pay what,
yeah,
and obviously an
yeah,
album sales would pay.
yeah, that's another problem. They don't pay
Yeah.
a lot, and it's a big issue. But beside this big issue, now people understand that they need to pay something.
Right. Right.
That's it.
Wow. Okay. So you joined. How long do you play with them, or did you play with them all the way up to like like an album in 2017? I think I saw online.
Yeah, I played maybe 3 albums with them during 7 or 8 years.
Wow.
And one of the last gig was in Tunisia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's how I met the guys from Myrath.
Oh, really? That was going to be my question. So you're in Tunisia, and then that's when you met the band that you obviously you're currently
Yeah,
with.
yeah. So we have a call from a promoter in Tunisia, and he's telling me, okay, we need Adagio, and you are gonna support Robert Plant, which is
No way, from
yeah,
Zeppelin? Wow.
exactly, which is playing there. So we come in Tunisia, we play a lot of fans. It was crazy, and just before we performed, was playing a little Tunisian band. It was not called Miras, it was called Ecstasy, which was the previous name of the band. And I saw the gig. I mean, and what I saw from the gig was little child playing music a way that I couldn't imagine. I mean, let me be more precise. Um, for example, if you listen to a band like Symphony,
Mhm.
they're putting a lot of Oriental arrangements in it.
Yeah.
When I came to Tunisia, I realized what was real Oriental arrangement.
Okay. So
Because in fact,
but you were aware of what? See, I didn't know what it was. I had to research Oriental, like arrangements and stuff when I was
yeah,
watching, reading about you guys.
and you realize that even if, for example, bands like Epica or Symphonics or Dream Theater sometimes
Hmm.
are doing kind of minor melodic scales and this kind of stuff, it's even not Oriental. I mean, if you want to do something really Oriental, it's much more complicated. So
Hmm.
I discovered this, and I told the guys, okay, I want to work with you. Um, Try to change the name of the band, and let's try to hire a real singer. And I started with the band producing the first album. At this time, I was not the official keyboard player,
Hmm.
and I was not composing. I started to compose for the band for the second album, but for the first album, I started producing the band to see how people in Europe could react to this music.
Oh, okay. So they were something. They were a different band prior, and then you talk to them after this show and say, "Hey, I you guys are great. I would love to work with you." And they're down, obviously. And then you kind of were like, "Well, let's change the name. Let's get a new guy to sing." Like, were they on board with all this? I mean, it sounds like the dynamic of the whole band kind of changed at that point,
Yeah,
for the better, it looks like. I mean, obviously with the success of the band, but yeah, that's it. That's yeah, to go in and be like, okay, this guy really wants, you know, you're obviously very talented. He wants to produce for us. And then it's like, let's kind of rearrange what we've got going on here.
yeah, and basically they don't suffer from ego issues.
Sure. Okay.
Never
I
did.
mean, sounds like it, because then if the singer's like, wait, what? What's going on here? You're
No,
kicking me out.
no, because the singer was also the keyboard player. So I just told him,
You just
okay,
moved him.
could you? He's a great singer, but we
Uh-huh.
wanted a real front. I wanted a real frontman, you know.
Okay.
So yeah, we started this journey this way. I started to pitch the band to many record labels. Nobody wanted to this band because nobody understood.
Hmm.
I finally found a little distributor for distribution deal in France, who told me, okay, you buy the CDs, you provide the CDs, we do 50-50, and I try to sell your CDs through mailing list and this kind of stuff. And it started this way, and we sold of the first album pretty good. I mean, for first album, we sold maybe 2,000 or 3,000 copies,
Yeah, that's
which
good.
is
Especially for a
more.
band nobody knows,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And it gave me a lot of confidence to continue with the band. And I quickly told them that I wanted to be more involved in the band,
Hmm.
compose, arrange, do the sound design, mix, to do the master, to do everything, to help them, because I had the feeling at this time that I could bring something to the band, and we continued this way.
Wow. I'm curious with you know, kind of joining. So it sounds like you're almost acting as not only the producer for the band, but like you're managing the guy. Like, okay, I'm gonna take this stuff, I'm gonna go pitch it to people. And you had like an experience in the industry being with this other band that had success. So was
And
that
for,
kind of like, yeah, they're trusting you, and then you were going, you know, pitching these guys around, and you were like almost managing them and producing at the same time there in the beginning.
exactly, which is very difficult,
I bet, yeah.
because
Uh,
it's really time consuming, and sometimes you try to make decision, and sometimes the musicians don't understand or don't feel that it's the right decision. So yeah, it's difficult, but it's a real how do you say, it's a real work. I mean,
Yeah, I know, right. And they put obviously a lot of faith in what you were doing and trust in you.
yeah,
Like, okay, yeah,
yeah,
maybe we don't understand this, but let's, you know, what, let's just see how this goes. And then you end up getting them signed, and they're the first band, right, to ever sign outside of Tunisia,
yep.
which is huge. What a massive accomplishment.
Yeah, that's huge. But unfortunately, that it's sad that maybe Myrath will be the only band to be signed. Um,
Really? Is there just not much of a see? I don't
yeah,
see. I'm
yeah,
so ignorant when it
yeah.
comes to like geography and other. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a big issue with Tunisia. I mean, when you are a 100% band living in Tunisia, it's
Mhm.
impossible. There is no way that you can succeed, unfortunately, um, and for many reasons. The first reason is the currency.
Mm.
So it's impossible to exchange your currency to euros or dollars. So
Really? So
yeah,
it's not recognized at all. It's just that that money's only good there.
it's totally forbidden and unrecognized. So you can't buy anything. That the first point.
Yeah.
The second is it's not it's forbidden to carry a credit card. So
Wow.
well, each time we do tours in Europe, it's really difficult because I have to give them credit cards,
Money. Yeah.
my name in my name, for them to make
Oh
it work.
man, that's
Because
trust, man.
it's this is ridiculous, and of course all the visa issues we have. Last year we toured South America. We did 7 countries. It was 7 visas.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, so just because of this tour, the passports were full. So we needed to renew the passport, to redo a visa for Europe. Yeah, basically visa stuff are consuming 70% of my time. But
Yeah,
anyway,
that what? Jeez. Are you still living in France and they are in Tunisia, or are they move? Like where's the
um,
band kind of
the,
currently
the the the
located?
lead singer and the guitar player are still in Tunisia.
Wow.
Bass player is in Georgia, not in the US, Georgia,
Yeah. The country of
near
Georgia.
Russia.
Sure.
And what else? And the drummer is in Paris.
Wow. And then how do that's so you're all spread out. And then how do
Yep.
you guys get together to like, for example, this new album? Like, was that difficult to kind of get everyone around? I mean, it sounds like even leaving Tunisia is kind of a hassle in itself.
It's a beautiful country, but technically for music business,
Yeah. It's
nobody's born
non-existent.
in. No, no,
Yeah.
no. No. Yeah, there is no market. There is no nothing. So it's really difficult. But by the way, but for the previous albums, everything was digital. I mean, the band Anis, Malek, Zaire was sending ideas through Gmail.
Uh-huh.
I received the ideas. I try to iterate on the ideas. I try to propose ideas. I send the ideas. So everything is digital. But
Wow.
for Karma, it was a total different story because we were touring at this time in Europe, and
Huh?
because of COVID, all the border closed.
Yeah.
So I needed to come back to my tiny house south of France. But unfortunately for the Tunisian people, the Tunisian members of the band, the government didn't bring flights for them.
Oh,
So
they just left them.
yeah, they don't give a fuck. So
Oh man.
they told me, Kevin, what should we do? I told them, okay, come to my home, and we will try to find a solution. And in fact, we didn't find any solution. They stayed 6 months with me and my wife, six guys in a
Oh
little
my
in a
gosh.
little
Your
studio.
wife must be a saint. She was
It was
she's like, what is going on? This is this band worth it? I got six dudes living here.
it was difficult. It was difficult. My house is not gigantic.
Right. Oh
So
my.
a real mess. And but we took this opportunity to compose together, and it
Mhm.
was the first time we could compose all together. I mean, I was waking up in the morning. I had a singer or a bass player in front of me. Can you try something? And
Mhm.
and you can iterate 100 times faster, and you
Oh
can
yeah.
10 times more stuff. And it was very very fun to do this album, even if the being seven guys, six guys in a single room was difficult.
Wow. It's interesting that because of the dynamic of the band and where everyone's located, it's most artists when COVID happened had to basically do the exact opposite of what you all did. Like it was like, okay, we can't get in a room together, we can't, all meet and write. So we've got to learn this new way of sending files and trying to, piece everything together. Whereas your previous records and albums were all done that way, right? It was always about file sharing. And then the pandemic happens and it's, oh, well, now we can all play in the same room. It's like you did like a 180 of what most bands had to do when it came to the the pandemic.
That's true. I mean, it's thanks to COVID, I guess.
Yeah. So how different? I mean, obviously you can get stuff done much faster, right? You're not sending a file to the bass player who's then got to listen to it and add his piece and then send it over, and then it's just like this whole like, pass the file around. Um, Going into it that way, like all together. Kind of talk to me about that. Was it like everyone already had ideas, or was it a lot more? I mean, having everyone together and there in the moment, kind of sharing ideas in real time, how
It's
much different was that? Like, I mean, as far as like putting the songs out, do you think the songs turned out differently due to that, or?
Yeah, the process changed and the song changed because everything was different. I
Mhm.
mean, when we were all together, it was like a laboratory of research. I don't know how to
Yeah.
name it. And everybody was trying stuff. And the cool thing is when you try real time stuff, you can feel real time the emotion of the pattern, the rhythmic you are building. Um, and this particular situation makes you change the way of doing arrangement, because when I was alone with my computer and working digitally,
Mhm.
I tend to put a lot of layers, because when you're alone, you don't have a real musician with you. So
Yeah.
to make it big, you tend to add extra layers of violin, extra layer of guitar, and the fact that having all the musician with you make your thought, your way of composing much more minimalist. And
Yeah.
because it's sounding, you have the bass player in front of you and the guitar player, you don't need something else.
Yeah, you don't have to layer a bunch of stuff to make it figure out what you
No,
think is going to sound good. It's just, yeah, a lot less production and work on your end, I bet. Like it's like, okay, now I have these two guitar tracks instead of 15 that you tried, you're
exactly,
stacking on each other. And
exactly,
also it's like if somebody sends you something and it's like, I don't know if this is real, like you said, the emotion of it. Like, I don't know if this really sounds like where it should go. And then it's let's send it back to this person. And then they've got to kind of relook at it and come back again. And it's just all of this back and forth where you're finding out in the moment, like, do we all feel like does this sound like what we want it to sound like?
exactly. So it's changed your way of composing, and it's more emotional, it's more minimalist, and
Uh-huh.
also it makes the uh, the guy which is mixing, because I didn't mix this album. I let Jacob Hansen, which is a awesome producer, work with me, and
Mhm.
he told me that less is more. I mean,
Yeah.
with less with less layer, it give him the opportunity to put on front, on top of the music, all the, how can I say, all the verbs and delays and atmospheres
Uh-huh.
to fill the gaps, and you end with something which sound more larger, because you started with a more minimalist approach, so you can work with the verbs and the delays, and it's easier. If there is too much layer, you don't have any room
Yeah,
to
you
add.
kind of probably get lost. Okay, should I turn this off? We got to turn this off and
Yeah,
then like listen to it a million times. Whereas if you have the base of what the song is, then you can just kind of add the ear candy, I guess, in there, like the little pieces
exactly,
and elements and make it kind of sound fuller at that point.
exactly. Yeah.
Um, wow, and it sounds like I mean, I was just reading about Candles Cry. You all have the opportunity when you're working in those settings to come up with ideas that you maybe hadn't done before. I mean, because you sing on that record, right? I mean, you do
Yeah,
so that was probably something that you maybe had guys had never thought of doing at the time because it's like, here, this is what the chorus I like, this is the chorus, and you sing it to them, and they're like, oh, why don't you just do that? Is that kind of what like, I mean, instead of sending it with your voice on it and back and forth, it's like, well, the singer's gonna sing and I'm gonna compose.
th- precisely what happened is that I proposed this vocal line to Zaire,
Mhm.
and Zaire told me, "Man, you sound like shit, but I'm not able, I'm not
Thank
able."
you.
But in a good way. I mean, he told me, "I'm not able to do this because it's not my style,
Uh-huh.
and the way you are doing this is cool. I can't explain, or I don't want to intellectualize, but as a singer, I feel that what you did as a pseudo singer, let's say,
Yeah.
uh, is is cool. It's different. So let's keep it this way." And I told him, "Okay, why not?" And
Wow. And then yeah, so that's the first song that your voice has been on. It was kind of like out of here's a
yeah,
demo, and then no, this is cool. Let's leave it in here.
yeah, why not? I did a lot of backing vocals by the past, but never lead vocals, never.
Wow. Was that kind of a cool thing to be you know, put into, I guess, in that way? Like, oh no, my voice is on this, like, out front and center.
That's cool. I mean, I'm proud. It's sounding cool, thanks to Jacob, who edited a bit my vocals, of course.
Uh-huh.
But
I
the
think it
reason,
sounds cool, really cool. Yeah, because he comes in with that deeper sound,
yeah,
and then the higher, vocal range that you're used to hearing with the band.
Mm.
Wow. So then the album's coming out March 8th. It looks like you had it you pushed back a little bit. Um, with the album, when did you finish it around the COVID times? Like, did you write it in the 6 months that everyone was together, and then, or
Uh,
were you able to continue kind of writing after the fact?
yeah, no, during the COVID, we wrote maybe half of the album, and after the guys um, be able to come back in their country, we
Uh-huh.
continued. We continued. Um,
Virtually that way, then file sharing.
yeah, exactly. And
Okay.
we finished that way. And yeah, it has been a long process, but I mean, I think we are kind of picky with the result, and we are never happy, really 100% happy with the result. That's why
Mhm.
we do a lot of iteration, and sometimes I mean, this is a kind of music that need a lot of involvement because
Yeah,
there
it's
are,
very technical. I mean,
yeah,
you listen to the songs and there's a lot happening.
yep. So yeah, it's taking some time, but we are quite happy with the result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At what point did you join in the band as, like a member, like in the live setting, and kind of more away, not away because you're still doing the producer role, but more and in the active, like, okay, keyboards for the band and still doing what you were doing prior.
Um, yeah, let's say for 10 years, I've
Oh,
been,
okay, so yeah, you've been a major
yeah,
member for a while.
yeah, but for the live performance, it changed 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
2 years ago, you started playing live. Was that cool? Was that something that you were kind of missing and you wanted to get back involved in?
At the beginning, no, not really. Not that not that I'm not missing playing live, but I'm the kind of guy which is shy, and I prefer being in my studio working
Right.
instead of doing live performance. And it came at the first time the band asked me to play with them. It was there, I guess. He told me, Kev, it will be really cool. I mean, everybody's listening to your piano part for years, and nobody knows you as a keyboardist in the band.
Hmm.
So I would love you to have you on stage playing piano, playing your
Yeah.
part with us. Um, so I discussed with also with the bass player and the drummer, and they told me, yeah, Kev, there is no negotiation to start around this.
Yeah. You're
Come,
doing it.
come, yeah, do it. So
Was that so prior to that, were you like prior to a couple of years ago, were you touring with the band, or was it basically you were doing all the kind of behind the scenes
I
songwriting and
I toured
producing?
I toured a lot, but I was, let's say, doing the tour management.
Oh, okay. You're still in that manager role.
Yeah, uh,
But
not anymore. Uh,
then, but a couple of
yeah,
years back.
yeah, exactly. So I was doing the tour management, the merchandising organization around the merchandising,
Yeah.
all the stuff that need to be handled to continue to, because a tour costs a lot of money, of course, and you need to work on it. And what else? And sometimes I was doing, yeah, I played a few years ago, few times with the band because the previous keyboard player was not able to do all the shows because
Uh-huh.
he's a teacher.
Okay.
So I did some replacement, and yeah, now it's official. Mhm.
Official full time. Wow. Yeah, it sounds like before you were yeah, you were doing all the management, you were doing like the adult businessing, like, the merchandise, the guitar managing, the booking, and you got the band signed. I mean, and now you it sounds like you were able to give that up to just kind of focus on the songs and the touring. You guys were able to get somebody else to do the management
Yeah,
aspect of it.
yeah. I try to. I'm starting to delegate a lot of stuff because I mean I will be dead within
Yeah, well,
2 years
yeah,
if I
you
don't.
live hard there. I mean, doing
Yeah,
so
yeah, no.
much work.
Yeah. Now
Um,
we have a real manager, which is really managing, which is
that's
cool.
cool.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I try to delegate for the tour management and social networks. I
Yeah.
started already, and the merchandising also. Yeah, I try to. The ideal word for me would be to only compose and playing live, and
Sure.
would be so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I appreciate your time today, Kevin. Thank you so much, man, for doing this. You guys have such an incredible story, especially with all the hoops and barriers with being able to even get out of Tunisia and do this as a career. Um, and the songs off the album I've heard thus far are awesome, and I really love Candles Cry, and it's cool to hear your voice in there.
Cool.
I have one more question for you before I let you go. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Don't do music. I mean, yeah, I have an advice. I have several advices. Um, and I think that the most important thing is to understand that the part of music, when I say the part of music, the part around the composition and practicing your instrument is maybe 1% of the total job to make a band succeed.
Mhm.
So if you think that it will work only because you are doing great music, you are wrong, and you should change your mind.